Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to create video number 44, but now I'm not going to cover any topic, but I'm going to create a complete project on food ordering app. And in this food ordering app, I'm going to cover all the topics till now which we have covered on the reactjs like hooks, events, JSX, and properties, map reducer, and all other topics like dividing the application into simple screens, and if we have the complex component we can split those components, and I'm going to create models, pop-ups, and all other topics which are very important. Even the fragments I'm going to cover in this topic, in this project. I hope you are going to enjoy it, and I'm really excited and expecting that you will learn from this video a lot. This video is for all the users who have, if they miss any topic in the React.js development. I know this is going to be a really versatile video for all of you. And please don't forget to follow this channel, and you can see the playlist here. In the playlist, I've covered all the topics from the introduction, React, and ES6, and how we can create the projects, how we can create custom components, how we can split component into multiple components, composition components, alternative of JSX events, use states, hooks, for how we can pass data from parent to child and child to parent, and using the props and real-time application on Near, as well as CSS module, style components, and many more. But guys, you can also find out this project on this React.js complete course. You can find on the I will I'm going to share this link in the description, so you can find out this project on the food ordering app. Here I've covered uploaded all the files which I'm going to create in this project. So this is the demo of the application. It is going to be really exciting. You can see here, once we click here, if we add items on this, these are all the menu list, and if I go to add items, it is going to hit the you can see the card here. If I click on the card, you can add or remove the items here. You can, or click on the order, you can close. If you need to add more items, you can add more items here. So you can see list is going to be conquered by step by step. So I'm excited, guys. I hope you all are also going to excite. So let's say once again that you are really going to learn from this video, and I hope you are going to learn a lot from this video. I'm pretty sure and pretty excited because I know the words of all these topics. The create React food ordering app is going to be really helpful for all the users who want to learn React, who want to understand the importance of this React. So guys, let's get started, and don't forget to like and subscribe my channel, because you all know when you comment or like or subscribe on my channel, you can see the channel name is Amir Pervez, and you can see the playlist here. This is the complete React.js developer course, and if you can see, all the topics are covered. So don't forget to share with your friends who want to learn React. I am trying my hard and trying my best to deliver you the best topics and deliver you the best results of the React, and give the best example so that you can learn from these videos. These are not for videos for taking the subscribers only, but I'm doing my actual hard work to giving my 100% to my followers. So guys, I created one project here. You can see here, this is the create command, create React app food ordering app. So I know you all are familiar with that, but if you are not, you can choose the path and you can write this command. So this is going to create the food ordering app for all of you. So now I'm going to open this project. So right guys. So I'm going to run this project on a terminal. From the top, I run this. Now you can start npm start. So this is the basic structure, but now I'm going to explain you how we can actually create the same application like this. Actually, on the 3000 port, I'm running already one application, so I'm going to stop that and I'm going to run my new application, food ordering app. It is going to be exciting, and I'm going to show you. So it's loading now. I run the npm start command. It's loading. These all are steps I covered in previous videos in detail. So don't worry, guys. Nothing is new or fancy here. So this is the start page. Now I'm going to explain you how we are going to cover this. So this is actually the header part. At the top, you can see button, and there's icon here, and as well as there's image in the header, and then some text for the application, and then we have menu list and this div for summary about the application, and then we have this separate input controls and buttons. And then if you click on this here, you can see these are the pop-up model pop-up and order button and add and remove option, right guys? So let me close it, and now I'm going how we are going to start it. So first all you need to do is you need to create a folder here, and I'm going to say the folder name is components, right guys? And for if you need to have any images, you can write assets, and then if you need to store anything in your project, storage, or whatever name you think. I am going to say it store. So these are the our three components, and now I'm going to remove all of this from the React. From here, I'm going to simply return food ordering app. The first part, how you start the application. So guys, I'm going to put my application in part actually. The first part has header, so I'm going to create a new help, and the second part I'm going to folder. I'm to say UIs if I need to have a common US for our application, and the third part is I'm going to say meals, and the fourth part is I'm going to say cart. So card is actually the pop-up and all the stuff. So this is how we are going to. So at first, I'm going to create the layout screen. So for the layout screen, I'm going to add a file here, header.js. So remember one thing, you need to write the first letter capital for the React JS components. Great, guys. So now I'm going to say const header, right? And I'm going to export it. So in header, what we are going to actually cover in header, we are going to show the image and the other stuff. Right. So I'm going to say return, we need to return something, and I'm going to say return fragment. You all are familiar with the fragments. Instead of passing the empty arrows, we are going to use the fragment for the React.js. So we do not need to create a separate divs. So that is the reason we are going to use the fragments. So header, and in the header, I'm going to say H1 food ordering app. Cool. And then I'm going to create a button here. So now I'm going to say I can say card, right guys? So don't worry about this. I'm going to do some other stuff as well as, and I'm going to create one more div here. This div is going to be for the image, and I'm going to say image. I'm going to add image, right guys? So but you know what we do actually, we actually need to pass the CSS here. So for that, what we need to do, we need to actually write CSS module. So I'm going to say header.module.css. In module.css, I'm going to pass the CSS. So guys, don't worry. You can find the CSS files from, because I'm not going to write down all the CSS in detail. You can find out CSS files from my source code on the GitHub. Here you can see in the components. You can go in the layouts, and then you can find out all this project files, right, guys? So don't worry about all this stuff. So now I'm going to import this. All I need to do is I need to import this, and for importing, I just need to simply call this. And I know you all are familiar with all these things. So I'm not going to explain you in detail. You need to write import and class and name here, and then from where you are going to import, it's in the same folder. So comma dot slash folder pass folder path, and then the file name header module dot css. In case of css, you need to pass the extension dot css, right, guys? And now I'm going to use it. I'm going to say header. I need to pass some css here. So I'm going to say class name classes dot header, right, guys? And then I'm going to say for the div, I'm going to say classes. I'm going to show some images here. So I'm going to say classes, and then I'm going to, because I pass the name here like this, and image main like this, right, guys? And then and now I need to import some images. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to import the image here. So uh, I have already copied one image, and I can check if I can use here, right? Cool. I can use this image, and now I can pass the or we can pass the source URL of the image, and then because first I need to import this image at the top, right? So you can see here I'm getting this image from this assets and this header banner. So now I'm going to use in the source here. Cool. And if I need to pass the message here, something we can pass like a table full of delicious food. Cool. Right, guys. So let me just check it out. What we can see here now, nothing. Reason we have not called this header in our app component, right, guys? So if you go in the app component, what you need to do, you need to import this. So I'm going to import it, components, and then layout, and then header. Cool. And now how you can use that, you just simply you need to do, you can go here and remove this thing, right? Or I can say remove all this and just simply go and use header here. Cool. Great, guys. So you can see here we got the icon here, we got the image here. This is the CSS styling. You can change some styling from the CSS class, and you can enjoy whatever image you need to paste here and do your work, right? So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to see why this button is not available there. Actually, a good practice is that we can actually separate this button logic, because in the when we have some increments in this button logic, and we have some also going to see that we are going to some badge icons and all this stuff. So I'm going to separate this button logic. What I'm going to do, file header card button.js, and then I'm going to say const export default. Cool, guys. So now I'm going to add one button here. What I'm going to return? Return button, and I'm going to name it. I can say it like three spans. The first span is going to say card icon. So where is this card icon actually? Guys, I'm going to show you where we are going to create this card icon later on. I'm going to comment this right now, and then I'm going to say it your card. Cool. And the third part is the number of items. So right now I'm going to say it four actually. So don't worry, it's just a static data. I'm going to update this. So now I'm going to import the CSS for this. I'm going to create a new file for CSS, and I'm going to say dot module.css. And I already told you that don't worry about the module.css. All CSS files or all the data, you can find that on the GitHub on my URL, which I'm going to share in the description. So now I'm going to use this URL. So all you need to do is you simply just need to import the CSS and you can use the CSS. It's so easy to use, and you just need to call this CSS URL and just simply use it like I'm doing it. And now you need to call this CSS classes. So for button, I have already written the CSS classes and then classes, and then I would say button, right? And also for this numbers, I'm going to say it classes dot batch, right, guys? And then for the icon, I'm going to say it icon classes icon. Cool. So now I'm going to show you from where we can get this card icon. We have actually created already. We have one card icon. You can just simply use that card icon because you can see this is actually SVG. I already told you in the start of the video. This is SVG component. So you can use this SVG component in your React applications. So this is going to be exciting, and you can use like this. Because I'm not going to explain you about how we are going to create this SVG icons, but I can tell you that it's not very difficult. All you need to do is you need to just now you just need to import it and use it in your project. Cool. Now I'm going to use this application and this component on the header. So I'm going to say it. Cool. I'm going to import this one because without imported it's not going to call our button. Cool, guys. So now if I go and you can see here, by default it's 4. Great. It's not working because we have not added any events to that. So now till now our header is almost completed. We need to work on the other parts of the application, but I'm going to repeat it once again that what we did in this project we have distributed the application 4 parts: cart, layout, meals, and UI. In the card we are going to show the model pop-ups and others part of the stuff like on the card button what we are going to do the functionality like the SVG component in this card, and then on the layout we are going to show the header and then header button, and then we are using this SVG component in this header button, and now we are going to deal with the meals and UI. Great, guys. I hope you understand till now, but don't forget to subscribe and like the channel, and comment if you are doing any practice and facing any issues. I'm always ready to help you all. So now I'm going to create more components, and then I'm going to work on the meals part. So now I'm going to say it available meals, but before that I need to create meals.js, and in this I'm going to call all the components of the meals. So I'm going to say available meals. And on the available meals, all we need to do is again the same practice, same thing. I'm going to export it. Then, so guys, in the available meals, I think I'm going to call the data from the API, but right now we are not calling data from API. I'm going to show you the dummy data. So you can create some dummy data on your end. So it's not going to be complex thing, which I need to explain in detail. It is going to be some array data, which is like dummy meals, and it contain multiple objects, and the single object we have ID, name, description, and price, right, guys? So this is going to be dummy records. Uh, Now, right now, I'm not going to hit the database and calling the records. So it's going to be easy. It's not going to be really complex thing. And now I'm going to add the CSS for this available meals. And all I need to do is, the what we are going to do dot module and dot CSS. And it is not going to be really complex thing. I already told you I'm going to share all the CSS thing on my GitHub URL, which we can find in the description. You can just simply call this CSS in your project and use it, because if we go step by step with the CSS also, it is going to be a really big application and really long videos, so which I do not need to do that. So that's why I've already created the CSS, so that can help you in writing all these things, right, guys? I hope you are understanding all this video. So what we need to do to return now? Now we need to return this collection like this. And now I'm going to say that I need to return these all items, right? And after that, I'm going to create this summary as well as and these parts as well as. So starting with these things. So in my return, I'm going to say return. I'm going to say that return section, and for the section, I'm going to say it class name, and then I'm going to say it classes dot meal, right? Meals, and then I'm going to say it. mm, we can create a dummy record. So I just what I need to do is I'm going to say right const meals list, right? And now I'm going to say dummy. Here, if I'm going to say map, it's going to loop all the items, and I'm going to say meal. And here I'm going to say it. I'm going to loop it actually. So for that, I can create a separate component that we can represent it more clearly, meal items, right, guys? So on the meal item, I'm going to do some more functionality works. So what I need to do is now I need to add the subfolder here, meal item, and then in this I'm going to say meal item.js. So actually I'm going to separate this component because it would be more clear and more easy to actually understand this application. So now the meal part, what I'm going to do is I'm going to write down this thing. Cool. And now I'm going to export it. Oh, great, guys. And now what we need to do to return, we are going to return the list items. And I'm going to say return. And in the list item, I'm going to return some div. And now I'm going to say h3. Now I'm going to pass the props here actually. In the props, you're all familiar with all these things, props and these type of things. So don't worry, it's not new thing for all of you. So now I'm going to say props and then h3. I think h3 would be good, not h2. And then I'm going to say div, and here I'm going to pass props dot description, and then I'm going to say something like uh, prices, props dot price, all this work. And for this, I also need to create some CSS. It's not going to be really complex thing. So pass some CSS here. I've actually created subgroup subfolder because it's going to be easily manageable, right, guys? Because I in the start of the video told you I'm going to explain you how you can manage your structure of the applications and all these things. So now you can uh, write down the CSS here. It's going to be shareable with all of you, so don't worry and uh, don't get confused how we are using this. Just look how we actually need to use all these things because these are going to be really helpful for you. And now if I go here and you can see, now I'm going to use the classes, some classes here. Uh, Meal, you need to pass the meal here, and then I can say with the h3, h2, you need to pass some classes, more classes, class name, and then classes description, and then we have some more classes for the prices, like class name, and then we have some classes dot price, right, guys? And you can see we are not going to we need to write the not price like this. So what I'm going to say, I'm going to say const because I need to pass the fixed prices. So I need to pass it like this. You can say props.price, because whenever we get the prices, we need to pass the two fixed prices, because it would be after the comma, we need to pass the two values here. So we will write like dollar, and now then we will write dollar, uh, curly bracket open, then props.price dot two fixed price. So it is going to be two fixed decimal digits after that, and then we are going to use this. I think we need, yeah, we should remove this. Cool, guys. It's going to be very much clear now to you. And till now, I'm working only on this. I'm not working on this part. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to use this, and you can see here now I'm going to use this. If I go here and great, guys. Now I'm going to use here when I'm going to loop this. I need to use this thing. But how we are going to pass this props? So now I'm going to pass the props with ID. I need to pass mail ID and name. You can find all these things here. You can see here ID, name, description, and prices here, right, guys? So it's not anything which is very much difficult to understand for all of you. I'm passing the properties here: prop ID, key, name, description, and prices, and I'm binding this with this object, because when we loop this, this object will have all these values, and I'm going to pass to this object, to this component, right, guys? So now what I'm going to do it, I'm going to, in the section part, I'm going to say ul unordered list, and then this thing, right, guys? Cool. So now I'm going to create one more component for the meal summary. And meal summary, what I'm going to do, I'm going to, on the meals, I'm going to say meal summary, and it's, and the meal summary, I'm going to say it, right, guys? Export default and this part, and we are going to return something. And in the return, I'm going to say it sections, and then in the section, I'm going to say h2 delicious food and all this. So I've written all this HTML things here. It's not very difficult things. You can easily use this in your project. And now I'm going to add some CSS for this meals. And now I'm creating this part of the application. Right, guys? It's not a very difficult thing. So you can easily understand it. So now I'm going to say it meals and this. And now you can, I'm going to write down, I've already written the CSS here. So all you need to do is you need to use this CSS in your project, and it is going to be, now you need to import this summary here, and at the top, if you go, and you need to import this, and now you need to use this class name, and then you can say classes meal summary. Cool, guys. Now I'm going to use this component in the meals.js, which I just discussed with you in the start. And now I'm going to write something like this meals. Now default, and you need to pass this meals. Great. And now I'm going to call this both component meal summary and available meals, because we have just created this one component meal summary, and then second one available meals. I'm going to use these components. Great. And now I'm going to return something like return and fragments. You all know the usage of fragment. So I'm not going to repeat it again and again. And now I'm going to use both components. Great. But now if you go on the application, and you can see we are still not can't able to see that reason. And now we need to use that thing in our app.js. Right, guys? So I'm going to say meals, and then if I go on the app.js, in the app.js, all you need to do is you need to import this first. You need to pass the path components and then meals and then meals like this. Great, guys. And now what I'm going to say, this is actually the main. So I'm going to say something like this. And now I'm going to write it like I'm going to do it fragment. Now I'm going to say it main, and the main I'm going to say like this. Great, guys. So you can see there is some error here. And what was that error actually? Meals item is not defined in available meals. Okay. If we go here, great. This is the issue. What we need to do, we need to import it because we have missed this. Okay. So I think it is going to work now. Now it is saying that we are not passing the props here in the meals. Great. So we are passing some props here. But now the meal item.js props is not defined. There is some issue. Yeah, we actually made a mistake here. So classes, some spellings are incorrect here in the, like we have some extras. Okay, cool. So now if I go here, so we can see we got this items and we got this summary here, but it's now we need to pass some CSS here. So what we are going to do, we are going to the summary and uh, meal summary, and we have imported this, but it's not working, I think. So I'm going to check the spellings. It's look okay. So I think we are missing something. Okay, I'm going to check it out. What we are missing. Mail summary dot module dot css. It's look okay. And I'm going to say it section class name classes dot summary. Okay, I mistakenly. Great, guys. Look how we are progressing in our application. It's really a great application, becoming step by step a great application. We have covered our header, we have covered our meal summary, we have covered we have products, we have added 4 products. It's they are all static. You can use any APIs or databases, so you can fetch from there. So not a big deal. Now I'm going to add some buttons here. So till now, I hope guys you are understanding it, and don't forget to subscribe my channel. My channel name is Amir Pervez. I have all this React.js videos, and also don't forget to comment if you are facing any issue in writing this files, and you can download all these files from this link. I'm going to share this link in the description. Amir Pervez React.js complete course. I hope you are enjoying it, and our target is we are going to achieve this application, and it is going to be really exciting now. So now let's go back to application, and now what we need to do is now we are going to create some uh, meal item form. So because I need to add some buttons and also some input controls. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to add meal item form, and all I need to do here is I'm going to add some input controls, right guys? So now I'm going to add some input controls, and I'm going to create some separate controls for input. First, I'm going to create that. So if you go in the UI, you can create a separate control. This is a separate control. Actually, I'm talking about this input control, right? Right. I'm not going to create again and again. So I'm going to create this input control here. Now, okay, great. And if you go in this input control, all you need to do is you can use this input control, and like this, I'm going to pass const input, and now I'm going to use the React forward reference, and now I'm going to say it props and ref. because I'm going to use the reference of all this. Now I'm going to return something, and then I'm going to say it, and in between that I'm going to say diff. Actually, I've written this. It's not a very complex thing. I'm going to use that, and okay. Right, guys? So this is basically this is an input control. I'm going to use the react dot forward references because I'm going to use the reference of this input control. I'm not going to create again and again all the input controls. I'm going to use the properties, and here I'm going to say that this is actually the input the CSS classes. I'm going to ignore this, and this is actually the input ID. So we do not need to create the separate input control for every function, and this is actually storing the value of this input control. I'm using the refs so that I can get the value from this ref so that I can use for this input controls in on our application, right, guys? So it is not a really a complex control, but I hope you are going to learn a lot from this input control. And now I'm going to add some CSS here. I'm going to say input dot module dot CSS, and now I'm going to say it. You can use this input CSS, and at the top, all you need to do is you need to call this CSS. Great. So we have created this, and we are now I'm going to export this. Okay, cool. Now I'm going to use this actually in our meals form. So how I'm going to use that? It's a simple thing. You need to first import this, then you can use it. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to import it first, and then I'm going to use that thing in our application. And all I'm going to say is return, and I'm going to say form. And I'm going to use this input control, which we have just call it, and I'm going to use this input control, but right now I'm not going to pass any values. So now after that, I'm going to in the form, I'm going to say add some buttons, and I can say add, and like this, great. And now I'm going to say it. I think it's looking much better now. Okay, now what I'm going to say it. Now I'm going to say amount is valid or not. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pass some use states. So what I need to do is I need to pass some use states and use refs here. So I need to call those, and also CSS classes. I'm going to create some CSS classes. So I'm going to say it, right, guys? So for the CSS classes, I have already written the CSS. I'm going to use those CSS, and you can easily import it from my projects and use them. It's not going to be a complex thing. It's an easy thing. You can easily download and use the CSS, but you have some more ideas on writing the CSS. It would be great. That it would be really helpful also for you to use your own CSS and understand the projects in detail, that how they all are working. Great. So now I'm going to say form. I have some CSS here, and now I'm going to say this form, and then on the I'm not going to work on the submit button right now. Cool. And now I'm going to use some use references here, and I'm going to say amount is valid or not. So right at first I'm going to say it's valid. You know how we need to use the use states, right? You need to pass the variable here, and then this is the function we will call it set amount is valid true or false, and I'm going to use this in our application. And then after that, what we need to do is I'm going to say it. Let's say I'm going to say it under this button that if it is false, and I'm going to show this thing. I'm going to say please enter a valid amount between 1 to 10, right, guys? So like here. Okay, cool. So I need to pass this thing here, and now I'm going to say it um, on submit. If I click on submit, but before that, I'm going to use a reference here. Because I've called that reference, and I'm going to bind this reference with this input control, I'm going to say is ref, and you all know how we are using the references. I'm going to say ref, and now you attach this reference here, right? So it is going to return the value to us, and I'm going to say label something like amount. Cool. And now I'm going to say input because I'm passing this input. Uh, you have just seen how we are passing this input in our. If you go in here, you can see input we are passing to this, and in the props.input.id we are passing the id, and the props.input we are passing the object here. So now I'm going to use here, and okay, input, and I'm going to pass here id. What id I'm going to pass, I'm going to say it something unique, amount underscore, and props.id, right? And then I'm going to say it type. I think type needs to be a number, because the way we have passing the object is now we not do not need to pass what type we need to actually, because if we are going to reusable it in the input, we need to pass that like text, or we are going to use the date time, or we are going to use the password. We just simply need to pass all these things. It's a little bit generic way. You need to write once and reusable everywhere. And how many steps it's going to increment it, I'm going to say, cool, I'm going to remove this. Okay, great. And if I miss anything, I can say default value. Yeah, default value. I think 0 would be okay. I'm good with that. And okay, great. I think nothing is left now. It looks all good. Why we are passing this object and how we are using it, I will explain you in detail. This is the power of this passing this input props like this and using it over our components. Cool, guys. It looks much better, and now I need to work on the on submit, but on submit, so I can work on the on submit, and I need to pass here. If I click on the on submit, I need to create some handler, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to say const handler, and here I'm going to say event dot prevent default, right? So that it could not reload our page completely. And now I'm going to say I need to get the value. So from the amount dot input reference, I'm going to get the value, current entered amount, and I'm going to concat it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to concat it. Cool, guys. And now I'm going to check the length, and if the value is less than 0 or less than 1 or greater than 10, then we need to pass the set amount is to false. Otherwise, it is going to be true, right, guys? So in this way, you can see here if the amount is or length is 0, or it is going to be less than 1 or greater than 10, then it is the amount set value is false, and if it is false, it is going to show this message, right, guys? I hope you are understanding it. It's cool. Now I'm going to clear some this thing as well as once you click on this, it is going to clear this as well as. But right now I have not added anything on the on to card. I'm just adding the you can say the dummy values, and now I'm going to say this, and let's check it out how it's looking. So once I call here, we didn't get anything. Why? The reason is that we have not used it in our meal item, right? So now I'm going to use it in our meal item, and for that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to add a separate div here, and I'm going to say meal item and pass some ID. So I'm going to use that. Cool, guys. So now I need to import this, and I'm going to import this, and cool. So I think I need to pass the React here. We have missed something. Yes, we have missed something. We need to pass. Okay, in our input controls, we need to pass React, and props is missing in the meal item form. Okay, props we are missing because we have passed some ID and some props here, which we are using here, like props.id, and we need to pass that. So now if I came here and you can see these, but this input controls and buttons. Great, guys. We are progressing in the right direction, and I'm enjoying it because we are going to create a really good application, and it's really a helpful thing, right, guys? So now in the next steps, what I'm going to do is I'm going to store some value. Like I pass some quantities here, and now I'm going to store it, right? So how we are going to achieve that? We are going to use the cart context. Either we can go in that flow, or we can first create the, if I click here, and we can create some models. I think we can create some models first, and because then after in the last we can work on the storage parts. So now if we go back, and now in the UI I'm going to create some model. I'm going to say model.js, and what I'm going to do here is again the same thing, export default model. Right, guys, so now I'm going to use some models here, and now how we can create the models. It's very simple. We need to return, and now I'm going to set fragment. And now what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a model here, but now this time I'm going to create with some a different pattern, create dom dot create portal. What actually it is in the React, we have you can see here on the public in the index.html, we have one root element to the React. But how it's if we are going to create another root element, and we need to attach our logic to that particular uh, root component. So all we need to do is I'm going to create a separate div here, and because I'm going to use the model pop-ups and handling it through out of this root element div. So I'm going to say div, and I'm going to say write, and I'm going to name it overlays, like this. Now I'm going to bind, if I need to bind any HTML import control or any HTML elements, we need to how we need to use this term for the React. And it's not very difficult thing. All you need to do is if you go on the top of your screen, all you need to do is you need to import you need to uh, import this library React DOM, React hyphen DOM, and all you need to do is, now I'm going to say it, React DOM dot create portal. And in the create portal we need to pass two things, right? The first thing is HTML, what HTML you are going to pass it, and the second thing is on what div you are going to attach your object, right? So now I'm going to say it, I can say simply document.get element by id, or you can simply call this term here, and I'm going to use this like, let's suppose I'm going to say hello, and now the second thing is I'm going to use this one. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new const here, and I'm going to say it const model overlay, and I'm going to pass props, whatever props I'm going to pass here, I'm going to use it, and I'm going to return something. What we need to return? We need to return div, and in the div I'm going to say class name. I'm going to call the CSS classes dot model. I've already written the CSS, and in this I'm going to pass one more div, and now I'm going to say it. You all are familiar with uh, props.children. You know what is the prop.children. I've in my previous videos I have explained in detail about this prop.children. This actually gets the component and return all the child of this component as it is. and it is not very complex thing. You can watch my previous videos to understand this concept. And actually, I've created separate class for this, classes.content. And now I'm going to use this model, overlay model here, a model overlay, and it's not going to be complex thing. Like this, I'm going to use it. And now I'm going to say whatever students I'm going to passing, I can pass like this. I like this. Cool. Need to close this tag. Great, guys. Now I need to use this model, and where I can use this model, it's now I can use this model in the card. And what I'm going to say, if I go now, we need to create the card at a top level. So I'm going to say new file and name it card.js. And in the card.js, I'm going to say it const card, right, guys? And I'm going to export this and export this card. And now I'm going to say return model. Now I need to import this model. From where I'm putting this, I need to pass the URL, UI model. Great. So what I'm going to show in this model, right? I'm going to show a step by step, but before that, I need to complete the model part. In the model, I need to create some CSS. I discussed with you all and CSS. So what I'm going to say, I'm going to add a new file here, model dot module.css, right? So I need to import this at the top. So if I go on the top, I imported this. I hope I've covered all the CSS classes for this, and it's looking fine to me. Now if I go on the card.js, now I need to work on this component. So once I click on this button, it needs to show me all the items, right, guys? And I think it's looking pretty much good now. Yeah, it's looked pretty much good. Uh, so now I'm going to work on the storage part. I'm going to once I click on this button, I need to add item to this, and also if I click on this button, I need to show the pop-up here. Great, guys. So now if I go on the storage part, I'm going to create, I'm going to use the card context approach. You all are familiar with this create context approach. So now I'm going to say here in the storage, I'm going to use a new file. I'm going to name it card context.js. I've written it separate so we do not face any issue in actually working on these things. I'm creating import. I've imported the React, and now I'm going to see a write const and card context, pass some space. I've covered this topic in my previous video in quite detail, so guys, don't worry and reach out to me if you face any difficulty. I'm happy to help you. I'm going to export it. Great. Now, what I'm going to have in this cart? Look, I need to have these items. I need to have I need to have the total. If I click here, I need to check the total of all the items, and then I need to add the item. I click on add the item. If I click on the remove, I've shown you how we can remove it, and also clear all. So I can remove all the order clear. I can clear all the order, right, guys? So now I'm going to do, I'm going to add items. Second is total amount, starting from zero, and then we have add item, and then we have remove item, with the ID, and then we are going to clear all. Great. We do not need to pass any parameter here for this. Cool. Right, guys. So we have created the create context. Now we need to create the provider. So for that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a provider now. It is going to be a really important component of this application, create provider. So for create provider, what I'm going to do, um, I need to simply follow that approach, and what I need to do is I need to just go and create const, create provider, and props. I'm going to create a separate component so it is going to be easy to actually handle it, right? And default and create provider. Cool, guys. Now what I'm going to do is, and now I'm going to actually, what I'm going to return it. Now I'm going to return, I'm going to say cart context. I need to import that. Okay, and provider. I didn't pass any value to this, so I'm going to say props.children, right? But I need to pass some value here. So what I'm going to say, I'm going to pass what I'm going to pass. I'm going to pass the actual object of the card context which I've created so that I can pass throughout my application. So I'm going to set const card context, and now I'm going to say it items something total amount. I have written all these things already. Cool. What is card context? I'm going to pass this as a value. So we need to pass some default value. So I'm going to say it like this. Great, guys. So what this actually all these things are, I'm saying what are actually the items at the current stage. Like if I add some item, it is going to return the items, and if I removing some item, it is going to return the current state of the card state, right? And what is this card state where I'm managing this? I'm going to explain this. Then I'm going to have some functions for adding the item, removing the item, and clearing all the item. So I'm going to create this step by step. But before that, what I'm going to do, the interesting thing, I'm going to create a new reducer here, and which is use reducer. You all are familiar with this use reducer because you know what is use reducer do actually. Use reducer, what it actually does, I'm going to pass here the value here first. I can say card state, then I'm going to say dispatch. You all are familiar with the dispatch, but if you're not, you can watch out my previous videos what this dispatch do. Otherwise, don't worry, I'm going to explain this in this video as well as reuse reducer. This is actually is the actual values after updating the states or before updating the states, right? And this is actually dispatch. Dispatch actually we use whenever we need to call any function to the reducers, right? And I'm going to explain you practically how. And then I'm going to name it card reducer. This is actually the name of the function. This is a very important thing. And default value. We need to pass some default value. So I'm going to say default and I'm going to set card state. I need to pass some default value to the state, right? So it's not any unique thing which we are going to do it first time. We have already done this thing in our previous videos, but I hope you remember all those concepts. But if not, don't worry, guys. I'm going to write the all code again. I'm going to pass some default values, and I'm going to set items. Items are null, and total is zero, right? So I'm going to use this here as an initial value. Initial value is there is zero item and $0 amount, and this is the name of the function which I'm going to use it, right? So I'm going to set const, and now what we can pass state and action to these functions in the reducers, right, guys? So it's not anything which is very unique or very difficult. It's thing which we have already discussed in our previous videos and I have explained in detail. And now I'm going to say action dot type. I'm going to say type. If the type is add, then what do you need to do? You need to do addition of the items to the collection. And if I'm going to copy this, right? We have three things, and then the second thing is remove, and the third thing is clear all. Cool. So we are going to use the three actions, and now how we are going to use that, I'm going to discuss this thing. So the first point here is how we are going to use the add and how we can dispatch that thing. What I need to do here, I can say, I'm going to create a const. I can use this add item to card handler, right? I need to pass the item, and now I'm going to say dispatch card action. And what I need to say, I need to pass type of the action. It's add. And what I need to pass item. Cool. Great. Now I need to do same thing for the remove and clear. So I'm going to say remove and I'm going to say remove and then I need to pass ID and ID here and here. And for the clear all I need to do is I need to pass this. I need to say clear all. Great. And I do not need to pass any parameters for the clear all, which we have already discussed. Great, guys. So till now, what we did, we have created a context here, and in the context, we have passed some the pattern of how we are going to dealing with this object in throughout our application and how we are going to store it. And then I created the card provider. In the card provider, I explained that how we are passing this initial values. Whatever changes we are making in this card context, it's going to reflect it. And if you are going to add any item or make changes in the total or add item, we have till now we have covered these three parts, and now I'm explaining you this card items. These are actually the initial values of the items, and this is actually the initial value of the card, what total amount we have on the card right now, right? It starts from zero, and whenever we are going to add some items, it's going to increase it. So now, till here we are all good. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to work on the add option. What I need to do, if I go here and I'm going to say it const update, I'm going to say it const update total amount, and I'm going to say it state, and now I'm going to say it total amount because I'm going to update it as action dot item dot price is multiplied by action dot item dot amount, right? So I'm going to say check if existing card item index, if the, let's suppose if I add one pizza and I'm going to add one more pizza, not juice this time, so it needs to update that existing item. So now I'm going to set const and existing card item index. If it is existing, I need to check in state items dot find index. It's not very complex code. I hope you all are familiar with this type of codings. If not, I'm explaining you in detail what actions I'm performing here. I'm going to match the ID and I'm going to check action item dot ID. If it is matched, then I will uh, get the ID item here. And now I'm going to say one more thing, that const existing card item, it's single item, and I'm going to say it items because in the items I have the collection and existing. It is going to return me the index of that part, and then I'm going to say it let update item if existing card item, it's true. If we have Then what I'm going to do? Then I'm going to have the previous value and update. I'm going to update the amount, right? And cool. So here you can see I have stored the previous value of the existing items, and now I'm going to update this amount field. And now on the update item, I have updated the item. Now I'm going to say it updated items, and I need to say here store this, and I'm going to store the item here, getting the value from here. And now first get this collection, and now I'm going to say update items existing car item. It is going to please update this item, the current item. Cool. Cool, guys. If we have the existing item, it is going to update the existing items. And now in the else, what we are going to do is it is going to add a new item, I hope. So now in the else, what we are going to do, we are going to update this. I'm going to add item in collection updates, and now I'm going to say state item dot, and I'm going to say concat action dot item, right? If it's not existing, then it is going to add the item here, and then now I'm going to say it. It's very easy thing. I'm going to say it, return this collection, because in the update items we have all the new items, and then for the total we have already uh, get this update total amount. Mm, yes, it looks good to me. And let me see if we miss anything. I think no. It's look pretty much good now. Okay, it looks good to me now. Now I need to work on the remove part. And remove part is almost same. We need to match the IDs, and I'm going to explain it. You can see here first we'll pass the ID, and if the ID exists, then we are going to get the index of that application of that item, and then I'm going to minus the prices from our total, and then if the amount is equal to one, existing amount is equal to 1, then we are going to actually filter, we are not going to fetch that particular ID, and then we are going to remove the item from the existing collection by passing the index, and we are going to update this, right, guys? And the last thing, which is a clear all, it is very simplest thing. We need to pass the initial values, right? Cool. So this is our card provider page, and we have used this use context in this, and then we are how we are using the reducer. In reducers, we have actually attached this reducer functions to this use context, and which is going to be used throughout our application. And in this reducers, we are going to pass add, and in the collection, we are updating the collection, and we are passing the total amount to our application, and we are using this collection on our this card context, like card state to total amount and items, right, guys? So now I'm going to use this provided on our app.js, because we are going to use this throughout our application. Now I'm going to say it insist of fragment. I'm going to use this card provider. Cool. But what we need to do, we need to import this, and I'm going to say it card provider and store card provider. Cool. So there are some issues on this card updates, and we need to check it out. If I go here, what are the issues? Actually, it is not defined. What is not defined? Existing card item is not defined. Why? Why we are getting this error? Um, we need to check it out on line number 24 in case of add item. Okay, okay, and it's checking it. I'm going to check the spellings of everything. Okay, and then I'm going to check these spellings, existing card items. Okay, it looks good to me now. Now line number 22, it shows this message. Okay, great. And now update line number 28. Updated items. So if we check on line number 28, that looks fine to me. Updated items. We need to make sure updated items. Okay. Things look good. And then line number 29, it looks okay. And then in the else, we need to pass this. Okay, it looks good. Then line number 29, what we are actually passing, updated item, which is okay. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Okay. We need to check step by step where we have made some mistake. These are spelling mistakes. I think we do not need to spend a lot of time here. I've already written this logic. So I'm going to use that thing because it's just a spelling mistake. Uh, okay. We cannot spend much of the time on these things in our when we create online stuff. So I'm going to say it. Cool, guys. It looks good now. Now, if we go on our application and check it out, okay, it looks good. Now we need to check it out. Why we are getting this error? What was the error actually? Everything looks okay. Okay. Now if I go and check it out on, okay, it seems okay to me. And if I go on the app.js, it looks okay. Now we need to work on if we need to show this or not. So what I'm going to say on this show card, or we do not need to show card. So I'm going to write here show card, and I'm going to add two handlers here, set true to false, that if we click on the button, do we need to show the card or not? And after that, what I'm going to say, if the card is shown, and I'm going to call this card here. Great. So you can see here, now I have not imported the card. Let me just import the card as well as. Great. Now I'm going to say on close handler, or just not show card handler. Okay, great. useState is not defined. So I'm going to say it. Okay, great. Everything is okay. Why our screen is not visible? What was the reason behind that? I'm going to check it out. Till then, I'm going to check that everything is working okay. It seems looks good to me. Card provider, and then we are using the card here. On close, if you click on the on close, it's going to hide the card where we use the use state. And in the main, we are going to use the meals and the card provider. I think everything is looks good to me. And now if we go on this card option, so now I'm going to working on this part of the application. It is one of the major thing. And now I'm going to say it that before working on this, I need to just recheck it if we have covered all the things pretty well. This looks good to me. Um, and then now I'm going to use the card here. And on the card, I'm going to say I'm going to return this model, right? And between that, I'm going to call this use card context, and because now I'm going to import card context from for the given address store card context. Cool. And I also need to import uh, card items, but I'm not going to import it right now. I'm going to add some CSS for this. So I'm going to say card module.css, and for that I'm going to I've already written the CSS. Yeah, I'm going to import that, and I'm going to use it. Then it looks good to me now. And now what we need to do is we need to show order or not. So I'm going to use the use context here. So for use context, we need to use this use context and use state. These two things things are missing. And now I'm going to say it total. So now in our card context, we got the object. It contains total amount, it contains items, and now I'm going to say total. I'm going to get the total amount and how many items we have. So from the card, this object, we are going to this is going to return this items, total amount, add item function, remove item, clear all. So I'm going to use this total amount and this length of the items, which looks good. Now I'm going to use create two more functions for adding and removing the items. So I have created two more functions, adding and removing the items. So I pass the ID, it is going to remove the item, and I pass the item, it is going to add the item here. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to order handler. And I'm going to also explain it where I'm going to use it and how I'm going to use it. Mm, Order handler actually is when I click on the order button, it is going to clear all the data and it is going to show me a new component, right? So I will explain in detail. So let's continue with this. And now I'm going to say it. I'm going to create a new context here, and because when I click on the I click on the add button, I need to add some items. So all I need to do is const card items, how I'm going to represent it, UL, mm, and from collection is I can say card like this dot items dot map item, and I'm going to create a separate component for this to handle all these things, and I'm going to name it card item. I hope you it makes sense to you why I'm going to separate all this component. So I've written this component already. I'm going to use the div and all the things because we cannot go in much detail. Item, and then I'm going to say it card item, right? And I'm going to return, right? So what I'm going to return, I'm going to return the name of the item, a summary, and prices and amount. And also I'm going to create some actions. I'm talking about all these things. Like when I click on this add button, it is going to show me the pop-up, and in the pop-up I'm going to show the names and add plus and remove items. And I'm going to add some CSS for this. Every separate component have their CSS, so it would be easy for us to actually manage these things. And also, if you share your project with the other team developers, it is really going to be easily manageable, and you can enjoy working together instead of having trouble in working together in these type of applications. So yeah, it looks good to me and pretty well. Now, but the price, I need to use the price like this. I am going to use the context and going to use the price because I need to use the fixed amounts and its price. Yeah, it looks good to me. Now there's some issues on that, but I'm going to use this here. First, I'm going to add to card, and now I'm going to say it like if I go on the card here, I'm going to say it card item and like this. And now I'm going to pass it key name all the props on add. They're like this. When I click on the add button, it is going to pass the prop in the props. It is going to click this. When I click on this item add or remove button, it is going to call this prop function, and is going to hit this, and it is going to call the use context function which we created in the reducer. I hope that makes sense to you. And now I'm going to pass some CSS which we have already written. It looks good. And now discard item is not import at the top. I'm going to import it. And props are missing. So I'm going to check it out where it's missing. Yes, here, because we are passing some props here. And now it's saying card item module spelling mistake. It looks good now. Okay, so now I'm going to resolve what was the actual issue, why it's not showing our application. I'm going to check it out. What's the issue? We need to check every single file step by step. I think after this card provider, we are facing some issues, right? So what would be actually issues? Let me just step back again. Yes, I think there are some issues with this card provider. So what was the actual issue with this card provider? I need to check it out. I need to check it out if all the things are pretty much good. I need can again go in the app.js and make sure everything is working fine. Yeah, it looks good to me now. Now, once I click on this, it is we need to work on these things. So now I'm continue on the add button and add and show and remove button. And if I go and click on this, yes. Now we need to add this props here. And if I go and check this out on meals item and form, and if I click here and now I need to pass the props to add the item, current item. And if I go here and check it out. I think this prevent this P is missing. I was also thinking why it's not working correctly. It looks good now. No worries, guys. It's not updating anything. The reason is that the value is static here. We are using the static value here. So now I'm going to go in the card part and I'm going to say it. Okay, I'm going to say now I need to use this. I do not need to use the static values now. I need to use the actual values. So here on the model, I'm going to say on close first, passing this. And now I'm going to say it. Show order. If we need to show order, okay, I'm going to show the item, card items. And I'm going to pass some div here, which is going to show me total amount and then the close button, the action buttons, which is okay, now, no problem. Mm, and I need to pass some values and some props. So I think I'm missing some props here. Cool. And now I need to say it looks good to me. So let's go and check it out. So it's showing the 4. I think on the card item, if I go on the header part, layout and button, here I need to update this thing. And I'm going to say it like I'm going to import the context first and showing some CSS things on this button. Button needs to be highlighted when I click and use the use context, so it has a collection and total amount. And in here I'm going to use the items. In the items I'm going to have the length, also how much items I do have currently, and number of card items. I'm going to write this function and it will return me the number of item, total number of items. And I'm going to call this, but uh, I'm going to call this here. I do not need to pass the static values. And now I'm going to concat two CSS classes because I have some added some animations here. You can check out these animations here. Once I click here, it is going to be a little bit bumped up the button, and also I can use this. And after every 300, I'm going to use a use effect. So after whenever I had some changes in the items, so you can see here whenever I have some make some changes in the items, after every 300 second, it is going to clear this card, and again I'm going to use this functionality. So I need to use this use effect at the top. So I need to use this use effect and use state and use context. Great, great guys, great. Now I'm going to say it. I need to use this. So all I need to do is button and I'm going to pass this. Cool. So still I'm getting some errors. Why props are missing? And now card context is not imported actually. So we need to import that. Cool guys. So now if I go and refresh it. So if I add some items, it didn't work. It also didn't work. Why? What was the issue? We need to check it out. So we need to check this out. First we need to make sure we have written everything well. Now here I've added context for true or false, and this card context use context is actually returning all the collections. And in this items we have all the items. And now we are saying the number of card items we are item dot reduce. It's actually checking all the items and counting it and returning the total number of items in the card step by step, because we can have a multiple item of the same type and also different items. And then we are going to concat these two CSS classes, and we are going to use this. And here you can see here, if the length is 0, it will return, and if we have changes in any item is removed or added, it is going to actually have effect on this, and it is going to make it true. And after every 300 seconds, it is going to return it at a false, so it is not going to highlight this, and it is going to clear this function. We have discussed about this clear function on the use effect in our previous videos also. So it looks great to me. I hope it also looks good to you, all of you. Now I'm going to check if there is any issue, because I've checked the spellings and all things looks pretty good. Now I think there's some issue with this add button, so now I'm going to check it out. So where this add button is, this we need to check that in the meals, and the meals, if we go in the available and meal item form. So we need to check on the meal item form is everything, but it looks like everything is okay. We need to check this out and make sure that it looks good. And it's looking pretty much good to me. And now I'm going to refresh it because no, it's not working correctly. We need to check it out. What was the issue? And we need to go in the meal item, because we are calling this, and we need to check on the meal item. Yes, on the meal item, we have missed something. On the meal, when we click on the add to cart button, actually, we have not passed this here. So here I'm going to go in the meal form, and because I was expecting that on the props, it is going to do add to cart. So it is not heading to that part. We have missed that part, and I'm going to say it add to cart handler, right? So I need to create that. So I've already created this. So what it's going to do, it is going to pass the amount, and it is actually adding the item to the add item. So now you know when it is going to add the item, first we need to import this and use it, both the cart context and use it. So this cart context is actually we have passed this thing to the add item, and it is going to add a new item to this. It looks good to me. Mm, Now we need to check everything is okay. Yes, it looks okay. There's some problem with the name, and I'm going to set const because this part is missing, and I'm going to use state, use context, and going to use this use context. So you all know that we have written this use context throughout our application and use the use context and adding this part. So now if we go and check it out, I hope it is going to work this time, and it looks good. So now I need to work on this part. I'm adding the items. Three, you can see how beautiful it looks like, how it's bump ups, and it looks beautiful, like guys, don't forget to like and subscribe my channel. I'm doing all these videos so that you can actually get a lot of help in creating the great applications, because it is the real-time application, and these are all the topics I covered, and I'm going to cover a lot of topic in this video. I'm going to cover use state, use context, use rev, use effect, use reducer, events, props, map reducer, reusable components, fragments, and how we are going to structure and manage our applications, and CSS modules and complex component into split components. Great, guys. So now I'm going to work on this button. I hope we make some issue on that button clickable part. So now I'm going to see what was the issue and we are going to resolve it out. So first I need to check from the overview. It looks okay. Props, it looks okay. And then we need to make sure that everything is okay. Then why it's not working? I need to check on the header and then here it is. There is an issue. When I say on click, I'm going to say it props dot on show. On show is this, we have already called that thing on our props are missing header on the app.js. You can see in the app.js we are passing this thing. So we need to pass there as well as. So now I'm going to say it on show. Spellings need to be checked clearly. So otherwise it's not going to show it. And on close, for on close, I'm going to use the same function. Great. So now if I go and check, I'm going to say two items and I'm going to say, so great guys. So you can see here I have pop-ups is clear now. Now we can add the item and remove the item and add and remove and zero. So we have no item left it here. So guys, this is a really and great application which cover a lot of topics and we can add item, we can add the item, add 6 items and if I click on OK, so I need to show some good message here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say order delivered, something which looks good. So now I'm going to say here cart.js and now I'm going to say it like this. And I'm going to add some CSS here, but before that I'm going to show some messages, these are all the HTML things. It's not very complex things, so don't worry guys. You can just copy it and now I'm going to say it fragments and classes. I've already written these things. It looks good. Now I'm going to use that in the card. It's very simple. I'm using the same property for the card module which I use, and I'm only using the actions. So that's why I'm not going to recreate the new class. So in the card, I'm going to say it. Okay. After module is used, is show order. If this show order is true, I need to say till this div we can show. Otherwise, I need to show something else, which is div. And here I'm going, no, I can directly name this, write the component name, and I'm going to import this like this. Okay, don't worry, guys. This is not a big issue. We need to pass some parent here. This is a React thing. You all know we can pass the fragment here as well as. So not a big issue. Okay, we passed here. If I say show order and then, okay, that looks good. Looks good. Okay, not show order, which is okay. There seems some issue with this, and can anyone tell me what was the issue? Uh, It looks not a big issue, but it seems like there's some typo mistake on this, and I'm going to say that model model is not correctly defined, or there's some issue. Yeah, should resolve typo mistake. So now if I'm going to add some items, let's suppose I add two more items, four, and if I click on order, thank you so much for your order. We really appreciate it. You get 10% discount next time, probably. So great, guys. This is a real-time application of food ordering app. I hope you enjoyed. You loved this application. This is the real-time code. I share all the code with you on the GitHub, and I'm excited if I get the positive response from all of you. This is all the source code files, and this is a real-time application. And if I click and show you on the mobile view, I have used the query string things as well as so that it would be see here, guys, how interesting it is, and it looks pretty good. We can add some more items, order, and all it how it goes. We can add items and three and some item here, and then if I look here, great, guys. If I remove item, it automatically remove it, and you can check it out. I'm very excited, guys. I hope I will get a positive response on this. I'm happy to share my knowledge with you without any cost or because it's a free platform where I'm doing all these things. I hope you are enjoying and loving my videos, and I'm going to create some more real-time projects for my followers and for my friends who have requested me to create some more real-time projects. And the next videos, I'm going to cover a lot of more topics on the React.js. I'm going to I love to teach you all and going to share all this knowledge with you without any cost. I hope you like and comment and subscribe this channel. The only cost for this is you need to subscribe to my channel and like the videos and comment the videos. If you have any question, you can reach out to me through emails. I am always happy to help you all. And I'm excited to create more videos. This is my email address, amirpress27 at gmail.com. In the description, you're going to get this link of GitHub and also the playlist. Thank you very much, guys. Hope you have enjoyed this video and hope you are going to create this real-time application and you are feel confident after creating this. I'm definitely sure. Thank you. Have a good day and best of luck for this project.